Hello, my friends. Today is April the 6th, and this is a reading for you if this is your birth date. This is approximately a 10-minute reading, so hang in there with me. It's a four-card pull to cover the year to follow. General energy card, something that might be sustained or come in to open you up to awareness. Then a particular challenge you might face, an action you can take to stay in balance, and an outcome or synopsis card. This is the general energy card of the year. It is the sustainer. And what does the sustainer reflect upon? Many people are sustainers. They don't seek the limelight, but they feel called to be active in sustaining something, in keeping something going. They're often the people behind the scenes, behind the curtain, you know, behind the boxes, in the booth. They're the people who are doing the manual labor. They're the people that are they're often feeding us and clothing us and taking care of us in different ways, in healing ways, in hospitality ways, in even building ways, in mechanical ways, in physical ways. So the sustainer is someone who gives because they know something needs to be done, and they're willing to go through what it takes to just get something done, and they'll do it over and over and over again. And sometimes the sustainer uh, doesn't usually crave attention, but sometimes the sustainer needs attention. It helps to buoy. It helps to, uh, you know, keep lifting energy. Sometimes just sustaining something can get dreary and dull and boring, but there's also a beautiful calling, a sacred honoring that comes with it, and one hopes that those outside of ourselves, if we are sustainers, that those outside of ourselves can recognize the work that we do, and if this is about someone else, then we hope that we can recognize the work that someone else does in sustaining us, because you are a valuable part of life, of getting things done, of feeling like there's some kind of order and structure and care and concern of the universe, in at least a human and in a universe that we live in our day to day lives. So, what is the particular challenge you have? It is the Six of Wands. So normally this is a card that is got sixes of wands, heart centered communion, sixes inspiration, gathering together with like minded or like impassioned people who define themselves in certain ways. Wands are about self definition and the ego and the fire and the passion, and what will you call yourself? It's about your will, and what will you do? Will you join with this group of people to celebrate in a particular way? Will you find your inspiration in the same way? So your challenge seems to be that there's something or someone or an energy or a group that has inspired you before, but right now there's a challenge to being in that group. And um, I think there's a challenge to, maybe it's about not being seen, maybe it's a challenge about not being heard, maybe it's a challenge about not feeling like it fits in with what you believe any longer, and you've gone to some other sense of place, and now you're questioning how to be in the group, why to be in the group, if you should be in the group, if you need to move on. There's some kind of sixes. There's some kind of heart-centered support that has sustained you and has sustained others before, um, but something is missing. And what is it that's missing? So this is the action to take. What's moose? And moose, I think the bigness, the power of moose. You don't mess with a moose. They're giant creatures. They have giant antlers, and they can, uh, they're powerful. They can demolish lots of things. They're like running into a hippo or an elephant, a wild elephant, or a hippo, or even a lion. They'll protect their boundaries. They'll let you know they're there. They'll snort. They'll bellow. They'll make their voices big. They'll make their bodies big. They will confront you, and they will take over the scenario. So on some level, that's what you're being asked to do, is to step forward, in your truth, step forward in your power, and bellow your truth, and bellow for your self esteem, and bellow to announce that you do have. An opinion, that you do have a thought, that you do have a power, that you do have a connection, that you're not an outsider, that you don't need to be listened to. There's a lot of things. I think the Six of Wands as a challenge might be you might have in your head a lot of negative framing about who you are and how much power you have and how much ability you have and how much people are going to hate you if you say the truth and all these other negative thoughts. But the moose says, so what? If they don't like you, then were they ever your friends, and were they ever um, in the same kind of mind loop as you? And if this is your truth, then you need to say it out loud, and you need to be strong, and you need to face what comes up, and you need to honor yourself and hold yourself with integrity and hold yourself with power, and be the moose. Announce yourself in a big way. Maybe it's about taking over and taking charge in some way and leading people in a new and profound way. Maybe it's about separating from a group that no longer feels right to you. Maybe it's just about claiming and reminding people that you may be a sustainer, but you also have a need for dignity and respect and honor, and every person in that group has that same need, and you're no different than anyone else. So bellow your need for that, and to call people out on them not giving you respect, or you're not getting the respect in some way that you need. It's just an honoring to yourself. You don't need, you need to respect yourself. It's not about somebody else respecting you. It's just, you need to respect yourself. And I think that's what the moose says. You need to respect what you have to say, respect that you have something to say, and respect that you have a right to say it, and you can bellow it out, and learn how to be okay with yourself through the many mirrors that you will get. Many people looking at you, looking at these outside people who will have judgments about who you are and what you are. But, it's up to you to believe them or not believe them, to take in their thoughts about what you have to say or to not. And if it feels, if you feel like you're telling your truth, then what do their opinions matter in the long run? If you hold your integrity and you hold your sacred witness, and you move forward within your authenticity and your power and your truth, then it's always about becoming truer and more authentic in yourself. That really, I think, matters in the long run. You'll love yourself a lot more. You'll be able to withstand a lot more storms, and you'll be able to go through a lot more challenges and pains, and you'll find a lot more joy when you stand up for yourself and hold your integrity, bellow like a moose, face something or someone or some energies that don't feel like they're quite meshing with you, or loving you or honoring you or respecting you for where you are and what you have to say. And maybe you're shying away from them, but don't shy away. Be the moose. And in that, do you sustain yourself? Sustainer energies who just keep things going, sometimes they just need a pat on the back, and it can come from the person inside who is the sustainer, to give themselves a pat on the back. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if you do that, other people will allow it for themselves, and other people will respect you more and show it back to you. So I think it's a win-win circumstance, and you'll get lots of powerful reflections when you do it. Aho.